2 Timothy chapter 4. I want to commence reading at verse 16. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 16. If you're next to someone without a Bible, if you'd be kind enough to share with them. I want to read from the New International Version. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 16. Listen at the words of Paul. Paul says that my first defense, no one, somebody said no one, came to my support, but everyone deserted me. He said, may it not be held against them, but the Lord. Somebody say, but the Lord. He stood by my side, gave me strength, so that through me, the message might be fully proclaimed. All the Gentiles might hear it, and I was delivered from the lion's mouth. The Lord will rescue me from every evil attack and will bring me safely to his heavenly kingdom. To him be glory forever. Amen. I want to talk for a little while this morning about the faithfulness of God. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you need to know that God is faithful. Amen. God is faithful. Talk about the faithfulness of God. To be faithful is defined as being loyal, being constant, being steadfast. And if the truth be told, Dick Williams, it's hard to find people who are faithful. It's hard to find people who are loyal and who are constant and who are steadfast. And I've discovered that when you do find people who are faithful, you ought to cherish them. You ought to honor them because, you know, whenever you have a faithful husband, a faithful wife, that's a blessing. Whenever you find faithful workers and faithful church members and faithful, you know, to any cause, it's a blessing. But the peculiar thing about being faithful and faithfulness is that sometimes, as faithful as you may be in certain areas, the truth be told, we don't have the capacity to be faithful in all areas at all times. As bad as you may want to be loyal, as bad as you may want to be constant, as bad as you may want to be steadfast in certain areas and to certain things, sometimes something will always preclude you from being as faithful as you want to be. You know, sometimes we have great intentions and people, you know, want to do well, and your mind says I want to be faithful. I want to keep showing up. But I discovered what Paul says, that sometimes when I try to do good, evil is always present. As faithful as I want to be, as faithful as I want to do some things, sometimes the enemy knows how to get in the way. Sometimes not the enemy, but sometimes it's us. Faithful as you may want to be, sometimes the flesh is a mess, and the flesh will get in your way and cause you not to be as loyal, as constant, as steadfast as you really want to be. But I come this morning to tell you that I know somebody who's always faithful. I know somebody who is faithful, and he will do exactly what he says he's going to do. One thing about God, he is a faithful God. Touch your neighbor and say, God is faithful.
God is faithful.
He's faithful, nothing. And then the interesting thing, watch this, Gary, about God being faithful is nothing can stop him from being faithful. That's why we got to learn in life that we got to lean on the faithfulness of God, because, watch this, how do you know nothing can stop him? Because when you look at the attributes of God, the fact that, first of all, he's all powerful, which means he's omnipotent. Nothing can stop him. Watch this. That's why he says, I'll never leave you, nor will I forsake you. Listen, he has all power in his hand. He has the will, but he also has the capacity. But not only is he all powerful, but the fact that he's omnipresent, he's everywhere at the same time, means that he's always there and he never misses. So the fact that he's omnipresent and he's omnipotent, all power, means that God is totally faithful. And I come this morning to let you know that we've got to learn how to lean on the faithfulness of God. We've got to do, listen, we got to learn that whatever you go through in life, we have somebody that's always faithful. And I like this text this morning because Paul teaches us that when people are not faithful, and when you can't lean and depend on people, you can lean and depend on God. Paul pens this letter here in 2 Timothy. As he closes now, he gives his spiritual son Timothy some final thoughts. Paul, you got to see the picture. Paul is in prison. Paul is facing execution, and here he's in a dark dungeon. He's now aged. He's now worn out from his long race for God. And here in chapter 4, as Paul opens chapter 4 and verse number 1, he gives Timothy a charge. He says, listen, verse 1, he says, Paul, he says, Timothy, I charge you before God and the Lord Jesus Christ. He says to him, preach the word. Giving him some final thoughts, man. He says, in season, out of season. But then he moves on in verse number 6, and he says to Timothy, he says, man, the time of my departure is at hand. He's testifying. He says, man, I fought a good fight. I finished my course. My time is coming now to an end. And then in verse number 9, he says, listen, Tim, before I leave, I die, I want you to come see about me. He's began now. He's starting to reflect. Walk with me, if you will. He's reflecting over his life. He says in verse number 10, he gets a little sad and he gets lonely, and he starts talking about some of the guys that were with him. He says, Demas, man, he's gone back to the world. He's turned his back on me. He says some of the same people that were walking with me, I don't know where they are now. He says, but Luke is still with me. He says, matter of fact, he says, Timothy, when you come, bring Mark with me, man. I'm feeling a little lonely. He's sitting now and he's starting to reflect. He's reflecting over his life, and loneliness is setting in. And he says in verse 16, he says, now that there was a time at my first defense. He said, when I first stood trial, he says, nobody stood with me. He says some of the same people now that I've helped along the way, they have forsaken me. He says, watch verse 16. He says they turned their backs on me. Watch it. So some of the same people that I was loyal to are not loyal to me. He said, you would have thought the churches that I planted, the folk in Philippi would have been there. You would have thought that some of the same people in Ephesus and Galatia would have been there to see me. I'm in prison. I'm getting ready to die. And he said, when I went to trial, nobody stood with me. It's a lonely thing when people turn their back on me. Paul says, I was forsaken. But watch verse 16. I like what he says. He says, Lord, may it not be held against them. He says, Lord, even though people have turned their backs on me, God, I don't have a grudge against them. I don't want it to be held against them. Paul took on the Spirit of Christ. You remember when Christ was forsaken on the cross and he gave his last 7 words, amen, from the cross. The first thing he said is, Father, forgive them. He says, for they know not what they do. And Paul has taken on this same spirit. I come today to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that every now and then you got to take on the spirit of Paul and take on the spirit of Christ and tell the Lord, listen, don't hold it against folk. People who walked out of my life, don't hold it against them. People who turned their back on me and haven't been as loyal to me as I've been to them. He said, Lord, don't hold it against them. He says, Paul is telling Timothy as he's reflecting, he said, man, listen, I've been forsaken. He says, man, I'm in a lonely state in my life. But he says, I'm all right. He says, because the Lord is faithful. He says, because God is faithful. Watch what he says in verse number 17. He says, even though people have turned their back on me, he says, the Lord. Watch this. He stood with me. When everybody else walked out on me, he said, the Lord stood with me. And I come to encourage somebody to know today that God is faithful. And when nobody else will stand with you, touch your neighbor and say, the Lord will stand with you. Yeah, the Lord will stand with me. There's somebody in here this morning who can testify that the Lord has been standing with you. The reason you where you are today is because the Lord is standing with you. I wish I had about 8 people in the building who can tell God, thank you for standing with me. When nobody else was on my side, the Lord stood with me. When I couldn't find people who I've been there for, but now they ain't there for me. I come to tell you today, stop having pity parties. Stop worrying about who ain't there. And tell the Lord, thank you for being there. Paul didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about who wasn't there. But he said, the Lord stood with me. And I come to tell you today that God is faithful. Tell your neighbor, he's faithful. He's faithful. He's faithful, and we got to learn how to lean on the faithfulness of God. He stood with me. That's why Paul was able to say, I can do all things through Christ, who's because God was standing with. See, when you plus God is the majority. Yeah, when God is standing with you, you can get through rough times. When God is standing with you, you can take a licking and keep on ticking. When God is standing with you, you can make it through the low periods of your life. That's why David says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because thou art with me. Aren't you glad that God is standing with you? Touch your neighbor and say, even when people don't stand with you, you got God to stand with you. Listen, you need to know that you're never alone. You're never by yourself. Even when you're riding in your car, God is still with you. Even when you listen, if you got to go to the doctor's office, can't find, listen, God is standing with you. If you got to go to the courtroom, God is your best attorney. God is your best advocate. God is with you. Paul said, listen, he's faithful. He's faithful not only because he stood with me, watch this, but he's faithful and I can depend on him because he strengthened me. He said, listen, he stood with me and he gave me strength. You really want to know what strengthened Paul? Was the presence of God. See, whenever you know that God is with you, it gives you strength alone. What picks you up is to know that you're not walking alone. I tell people all the time, one of the most powerful ministries is the ministry of presence. Yeah, that's a powerful ministry. If you ever, watch this, want to bless somebody, be there for them. It ain't how much you can give them, but can you be there for me? Can you be there during difficult times? See, sometimes it ain't about money. It ain't about what you can give me. But the fact that you can look around and see that somebody is with you. You need to know that listen, there's strength in presence. When you listen, that's why those of you who have children, you got to know that you got to be there for your children. You whenever your children are involved in something, you ought to be there. You want to help them get through school, don't worry about that. You want to help them get through school, be there for them. You want to help them, you want to help them get through life, you got to be there. It's the presence that gives me strength. When my children are involved in activities and my son is on the track and my son is on the football field, I make sure that I clear my schedule because I said I got to be there, because sometimes when he makes a mistake, he looks over at me and I give them a thumbs up. And sometimes, Terrence, you know how it is. They turn around and they just need to know that you're sitting in the stands. It's your presence that, Lord have mercy, that gives them strength. That sometimes when my son the other day, he threw a couple interceptions and people, would say all kind of stuff. But I'm right there and I just do like that and let him know that you can shake it off. Sometimes he shake it off and it's the strength to know that his mama's there and I'm there, and it's strength. That's the same thing. What Paul said is that the reason I'm strengthened is because God stood with me. And I come to tell you that you got somebody who's standing with you, and that's what gives you strength to make it from day to day. Even when you ain't got $1 in your pocket, you got to know I'm still gonna make it. Even when my bills are behind, I'm still gonna make it. Even when I got sickness in my body, I'm still gonna make it. Because I got the Lord who's standing with me. Even when the enemy gets on my track, touch your neighbor and say, I'm gonna make it. What's gonna strengthen me to get up every morning is to know the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. What makes me keep going is to know the Lord is my light and my salvation. Wish I had somebody in the building to say, the Lord is strengthening me. God is faithful. Touch your neighbor and say, He's faithful. He's faithful. Because He's standing with me. Paul said he stood with me. Everybody else walked out of my life. Paul is in prison now. He said, but Lord is still standing with me. And because he stood with me, it gave me strength. Notice what he said. He stood by my side and gave me strength. He said, so that through me, the message might be proclaimed. God said, I strengthen you for a reason. The reason that, watch this, I strengthen you is so, he said, Paul, that the message could still be preached. See, because Paul, watch this, the Lord is saying, Paul, this thing ain't about you. But Paul, the reason that I'm strengthening you is because I need my message to go forward. And I come to tell somebody today, the reason God is standing with you and strengthening you is not because you've been so good. But I come to tell you this thing ain't about you. But God said, I'm strengthening you to give you a testimony so that you can help and strengthen somebody else. Because it ain't about you, but it's about the kingdom. It's about my message getting across. I'm strengthening you so that you can be strong for somebody else, to help pull somebody else through, to let them know if God did it for me, then God can do it for you. Wish I had about 7 people in the building today who would just grab somebody by the hand and say, God, pull me up so that he can pull you up. And I come to tell you that if God did it for me, he can do it for you. Why don't you high five your neighbor and say, neighbor, if God did it for my family, he can do it for your family. If God did it for my children, he can do it for your children. I got about 6 people who need to stand on their feet and just grab somebody and say, you don't know like I know what the Lord has done for me. If he did it for me, he can do it for you. Got to get out of here. But what Paul says is, Timothy, God stood with me. God strengthened me. But then God snatched me. He snatched me out of the lion's mouth. He wasn't talking literally, but figuratively. See, because Paul should have been dead after his trial. He should have been persecuted. He should have been executed after the trial. But what God did was, he snatched Paul and said, I ain't ready for you yet. I know the Romans, they want to kill you, but I'm just going to put you in the prison. I'm going to snatch you because I'm not through yet. And touch your neighbor and say, the reason that God snatched you out of the lion's mouth, the reason he didn't let the car crash kill you, he didn't let the bullets kill you, was because God said, I ain't through with you yet. Put your arm around your neighbor and say, neighbor, God ain't through with you yet. He got more work for you to do. And all you got to do is just trust in the faithfulness. Oh my God. High five your neighbor and say, God is faithful. God is faithful. Turn around. Find your neighbor and say, God is faithful. He's faithful. He's faithful. He's faithful. He saved you. He preserved you. Hold on, my sister. Hold on, my brother. God ain't through with you yet. High five your neighbor and say, neighbor, be encouraged. Be encouraged. Because God, he ain't through. Nobody is sheep. Hug somebody and tell them, God ain't through with you yet. God ain't through with you yet. God ain't through with you yet. He's faithful. He's faithful. He's faithful.